everyone. Welcome to the Felicity, Optimist versus Cynic podcast with us, your hosts, Melissa and Fish. This is a Felicity rewatch podcast, so we'll watch an episode each week and join you here to talk all about it. Quick reminder, the reminder we always give, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. So if you don't want to have any possibility of hearing about things that come up in future episodes of Felicity, this might not be the place for you. But stick around because we're all friends here. So I'm Melissa, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Fish. Fish, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful today. How are you doing, Melissa?
I'm fantastic. We're friends. This episode is about friends. We're in the right place. We're here today to talk about a lovely episode, season 1, episode 12, called Friends, originally aired January 26th, 1999. This one was directed by Todd Holland. This one had a new writer, Gina Prince Bythewood. I don't know how you say her name, but nonetheless, she wrote it. And the description is, after Felicity thinks she spots Blair kissing someone other than Elena, she decides to blow the whistle on him until she realizes the mystery vixen is Elena's best friend. Meanwhile, Julie learns the identity of her birth mother. A lot of stuff going on here. Fish, where do you want to begin?
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on in this episode. I like it because it seems like a check-in on a couple of different couples. Mm-hmm. And it kind of gives us where they're at, and Felicity sort of goes between them, and we get to learn kind of what's going on with everybody, and everyone has their own little story. So I figured I'd just start with Ben and Julie, because I'm a little ambivalent about this one. I can kind of see things from both sides. So, I just want to talk through it and get your take on it as well.
Uh-oh. So that's unfortunate, because I was going to say exactly the same thing to you. I was going to be like, Fish, I don't know what to make of this storyline. So what are your thoughts? So we're just going to do this little cyclical, hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Until we arrive at an answer. How about that?
I mean, I think that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll talk through my initial thoughts. I mean, what makes us so great is that the two of us, usually each only have half a thought. And then when we put them together, we sometimes get the full thought.
Sometimes it becomes 1.5 thoughts, and we don't know how it happened.
I mean, and sometimes it doesn't become a full thought.
Also that.
And, well, sorry, listeners.
So there's absolutely no consistency to our process, and listeners, we can't guarantee anything. But here we are.
Nope.
Yeah.
Write in. Tell us how we're doing.
Actually, I would like that, because I feel like I'm at a little bit of a loss in this storyline. I guess I haven't had a ton of personal experience with the stuff Julie's dealing with, nor do I feel like I really know a lot of people who have. So it's a really interesting dynamic between Julie and Ben right now. And I find both sides of it interesting, because not just because of what they're dealing with now, but because of where they just came from. Ben has been in this, I guess maybe we would call it a protector role, or helping Julie feel safe regarding the sexual assault she just experienced, a different situation, but it nonetheless put this dynamic between them where she was coming to him for comfort. He was being that guy who was a safe space for her. A relationship has been forming from it, but that was the foundation of it, really. And so she's coming back to him now, having found, she thinks, her birth mom, or at least she, an investigator found the person who they believe is her birth mom. And we know that she came to school in New York to find her birth mom, or to be closer to her birth mom. So it's putting up some red flags for Ben. He's looking at the situation thinking she's really just still coping with this last trauma that she had. And this is a really risky situation, and there's a lot of potential for her to get hurt. And so he's being ultra protective, and almost, their relationship is almost built on the Damsel in Distress Foundation now. So it's interesting to see where this is going. And I can't decide what I think about how Ben's handling it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in the same boat. I mean, Julie is seemingly ecstatic. I mean, almost, I'd say, manic when she, has this PI who she's hired find her mom, and her whole body, is kind of bouncing around the place. And it's interesting because she's sharing this with Ben, and the first thing he says is, you didn't even tell me that you were hiring a PI. So already as it kind of kicks off, you've got this kind of weird dynamic between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
She's super excited about someone who she kind of says doesn't even really care whether she's her mom or not. I mean, she cares, but she's just accepting the fact, she's not looking for any proof.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond what this PI has said. And Ben, I think, is trying to be very supportive in a, kit glove kind of way. He's calming to her, which I think is a good thing because she needs it right now.
Yeah, I have keeping Julie calm in my notes.
Yeah.
That's like his sole job in the beginning of this episode.
And then she needs it because she's everywhere. He is asking about proof and being very practical about this and looking to not necessarily solve a problem, but as the episode goes on, he has a lot of thoughts about maybe what she should be doing, and he brings them up slowly and carefully and explains that he's trying to protect her. He does make a bad joke, kind of calling her a hooker at one point.
Yeah. Did not age well.
No, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, he gives her money for a cab fare and she's like, I should pay you back. And he just kisses her and is like, that paid me back. It's like, ooh, gross.
Yeah. Not okay. Not okay.
Not meant in a gross way, but boy, did that read badly.
Yes.
Coming in this day and age and looking back at it.
Mm-hmm. I will say Julie had an amazing realization, like a self-realization on her own part. She realized that her hairstyle is that of a 12-year-old girl, which it is. And I am not supportive of Ben supporting her hair, but he does.
Here for the mini butterfly clips.
Yeah. Does anyone remember those? I mean,
I remember them. I was more of a fan of the bigger butterfly clips. I've got a lot of hair. Something needs to keep it in check. Yeah. I was
gonna say mine always was way too thick for the mini clips, but she uses like 12 of them. So, all right. I mean, it's very nice that he comes with her, and I guess earlier on in the episode and towards the middle, I was getting this sense that she was kind of being, I don't want to say ungrateful, but she was kind of snapping at him, and he was being so supportive. And that was the reaction I was having until they were sitting down together. And, Julie's trying to write this letter, and she's coming off as cold and annoyed, and she's hiding the letter from him. And he sits down and suggests that she write a letter. And, she looks at him and says, thank you for being there for me, but this is my problem. And what you're doing is, it sounds like what she's saying is what you're doing is kind of questioning what's going on with my process, and it's creating a lot of anxiety for me. And I don't need that right now. Now, we can go back and forth on whether she actually needs that right now. And he says, well, I'm trying to protect you after everything you've been through. She says, get out.
Mhm.
Get out. And he leaves.
That she
Um,
does. It's such an interesting conversation to me, though, because the way that you're reading him is that he's been supportive and he's been protective, and I agree with that. And I wonder if sometimes it's bordering into the condescending. At one point in one of their first scenes, I think when he was holding up the toaster for her to look into and fix her hair, he says, what if basically he opens up the idea of what if the birth mom rejects her.
mhm,
And he said something like, how are you going to be able to deal with that?
mhm.
And it almost felt like he was questioning her capacity to deal with it. And
That's exactly
so,
what he was doing.
yeah, but I don't know if that comes across as just insulting. Like when you want to be supportive, and I get where that was coming from. I get that was coming from a place of she's dealing with trauma number one, and now this is potential, maybe not trauma, but danger number two, and a big one. This is why she came to New York to begin with, to meet possibly this person. And so he's nervous about what the outcome will be. He doesn't know if she can handle it, but I don't know if you phrase it quite like that when you're telling the person. It's like you want to pump them up and make them feel strong and help them find their way, but maybe not tell them, I don't know if you're up for this. Um,
Well,
so
the
it's,
question is, what if you don't think they're up for it? What do you do?
ah,
And I mean, that's why I think it's such a gray area because Ben does not have any experience with this, you
mhm,
know? So he doesn't know exactly what she's going through, but he sees her getting really excited and he knows how important this is to her. And he is seeing some pitfalls, a lot of pitfalls with
yeah,
her just being so invested in this and not questioning things like, is it even really her? Like, how did this guy find her so quickly? Is it, what if she doesn't want to talk to you? So I think this is kind of a theme throughout this episode is just having difficult conversations.
mhm,
And often there just isn't the perfect way to have a conversation. So I give him a lot of credit for having a calming presence and for being supportive in whatever way he thinks he can be. So just coming with her, um, you know, raising a few concerns that he sees, even though, she pushes back on that and gets kind of mad about it. The reason she says she's mad about it does seem a little bit like she just doesn't want to hear that there might be any problems.
yeah.
And she comes back and she does apologize later. I think maybe for snapping at him, but
Well, she just comes to the door and says sorry, and he lets her in. And I don't think we saw anything else from them after that. Uh,
yeah.
in that particular scene to know what specifically she apologized for. I mean, yeah, she's anxious and she's on edge, and she, like you said, it comes off a little bit manic, and maybe she's seeing that she's shutting Ben out and asking for help and then shutting him out again, and it's a yo-yo effect for him. And I don't know. I don't know how far she went in that apology and what specifically she was apologizing for. But yeah, I think the nature of the conversation we're having is pretty much why I'm so uncertain about this story and about where they're headed here, and about who, because there isn't a right way to do this, and there isn't a right way to be there, I guess. Although again, I think this is where I would love for any listeners who have thoughts on this to jump in and, like, maybe there is a right way to do this. I don't know. The red flags are flying for Ben, and he is very cautious about this, and Julie is not. And there's a concern in that.
Yeah. And I guess I don't I can't understand or empathize with Julie in this case. I never met my birth father, my biological father, and I've never had any interest. I mean, just zero interest. And all these questions that she's talking about, saying that something's missing, looking at her physical features, her love of music, her metabolism, kind of where these things came from, like that has just never been a consideration for me. I have, like, nothing is missing. I've never looked for him. I assume he's never looked for me, and that's all good. So I've heard a lot of people talk about this, especially if they're adopted, looking for both of their birth parents. And I don't know, it's just never been something I could connect to. So I don't have any sense of, I get it's important to her, but I don't really know why. And I don't know how Ben or anyone else would best support her, given that this is something that she wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's helpful to hear her thoughts when she records the tape. I also think it was an interesting gesture that she goes to Felicity's room and asks Felicity about her process of creating tapes for Sally and why she does that. And Felicity says, I don't censor myself when I speak the way that I do when I write. And Julie was just dealing with that. She was just trying to write letters and feeling like she couldn't do it. And so this sounds like an approach worth trying. She gets that tape recorder from Felicity, and we hear her leave this tape. And it was a long scene, and it really put you in her head, and it really helped you understand what she was thinking from the amount of information she had in that moment. This was all the years up until this point of thoughts that she was trying to convey in a simple tape message. And like you said, seeing herself reflected in someone else was a need that she expressed having. She's basically bargaining with this parent she'd never met, or possible parent she'd never met, and saying, I don't want anything from you. I just want to know where I came from is all. She was trying to make it sound as simple as possible, and it probably isn't really all that simple. And she says, "Thank you for my life" at the end, which is, something that I guess she wanted to express. I think those are probably the thoughts that are top of mind for her. And there's probably a whole ocean of thoughts underneath that. And, what comes out as simple in that tape may not be that simple in practice.
Yeah. I mean, she does say, "Do you think about me?" And I think that is definitely an indication that maybe she is looking for something a little bit more than she says. I just want to meet you once, like one time, and that's all. It doesn't quite seem like the complete truth.
Yeah, it sounds like the easiest introductory version of how to leave a tape for this person, but there's so much under the surface, and she's just opening up this potential can of worms, and it's a scary thing. It's something that she obviously feels that she needs to do. She moved to New York for this reason, because she wants to be closer to her birth parents or her birth mother. And so this is a really important project for her, but now it's here. And she's dealing with it in a more real way. And so it's going to bring up for her emotions that she never felt around this topic before. And Ben is the one who's there just to witness it firsthand.
Yes, but it does bring up our second Frasier cast member sighting, the wonderful Jane Kasmerick, who also played the mother on Malcolm in the Middle. She played this lady cop and that's how she's referred to in Frasier, as a lady cop. And she ends up, not to ruin Frasier for you guys, but it's one episode. She ends up being interested in Frasier's father and not him. Oops.
Wow.
Right. She's wonderful. I love her. She's fantastic. But I am a little concerned about Julie taking this internship application. This seems like it's like we're not done.
Yeah. So Felicity, sorry, not Felicity, Julie goes to Carol Anderson. This person's name is Carol Anderson, goes to her office, and it turns out that it's a firm owned by, or, she's a partner in this architecture firm. And so Julie goes with the tape in hand with the intent of going and delivering it, I guess, in person to a stranger, which feels like a big move. Who are you and why are you giving me this tape? Feels like it would come up if you deliver it in person. But nonetheless, that is why she is there. She gets into the office. She finds out where Carol Anderson office is. And we have the slow-mo effect come back in, which I think it's been a little while since we've seen it. But earlier in the season, we were talking about how important the use of slow-mo was when a character looks at another character and is really seeing them and is really having a moment, and that person is really important to them, we see the rest of the world sort of drift away. And that happens for Julie here. And I can't remember if we've ever seen that happen for Julie before. This might be the first.
Not that I remember. I think we've only seen it with Felicity, sort of her view of Ben.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it for anyone else besides Ben?
I think it's happened with Noel looking at Felicity. I know it happened in Boggle.
Oh, yeah.
This is a technique that they've used on more than one character. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen it used with Julie. So that goes to show you the level of importance of this possible relationship in her life. And then when she sees this possible birth mother right in front of her, and she's pulled out of that moment by the receptionist, or, that Carol Anderson's assistant, asking her what she's there for. She, instead of delivering the tape, she takes an internship application, which we can imagine she will fill out. And, she didn't go there for the purpose that she wanted, but this may be another way to get the thing that she wanted, of starting to find out, is this person her mother? Does this person have some of the similarities to Julie that she thought maybe she would have? This is perhaps a chance to get to know her without having to give up the whole farm here.
Yeah, this does not seem like a good idea. I mean, if you're approaching someone, sort of lying your way into their life to check them out, I just can't imagine it's going to end well. Like at the end of that, does the person who's been kind of tricked ever turn around and go, "It's so wonderful, you're here now, this has been a fantastic experience"? Like, I don't know that I've ever seen that happen.
Dangerous setup, that's for sure. It could go awfully wrong. And also, so could having delivered the tape to her. It's like, well, I think every situation level here has danger for Julie.
Yeah, there's a level of distance between sending someone a tape, or I thought she was going to give the tape to Carol's assistant and then just leave. So there's a level of distance between writing a letter or even a phone call and signing up to work with someone on a daily basis as an intern. That's a whole other level of... Is everyone just stalking everyone in this show?
Maybe.
Is that what's happening? Is this just a show about people stalking other people?
Hey, stay tuned for next episode.
No. I
hate to tell you. Yeah, this is, well, I don't know. This was an opportunity that was presented to her out of the blue that she wasn't expecting. She didn't go there with this intention. We don't see her actually submit the application, but we do see her flirting with the idea of taking it. So this is a new path that's been presented to her, and one that allows her to scope the situation out and maybe decide if she wants to actually make the approach in the future. Do I justify this? No, I don't know what to do with Julie's storyline, really. It's just so hard. It's hard because Julie found this person through a private investigator because the adoption agency wouldn't tell her who the mother was, because only if the mother was looking for her would they tell her that information. So what Julie does know is that this woman has not been looking for her. And if that's this woman or some other person, that person still isn't looking for her. So I think there's baked in disappointment coming up here regardless. And, it's not going to be smooth, this process. So, on the one hand, there is in a way more protection for Julie, because if she is an intern and nothing more, she can see this woman in action, maybe gather some clues as to, is this in fact the person? If this person is a jerk, she could decide to say nothing. She can gather some information about her character. And if Julie actually goes into this thinking, all I want is to see myself reflected in somebody else, well, she's going to get that, even just seeing her at the office door, but certainly as an intern. So in a way, there's a distance that she's creating for herself here by basically going deep cover. And, had she just delivered the truth in full form to this stranger, there is a sensitivity to that. There is no protection for her. She basically puts it out there and hopes for the best with no information. So I guess for her, she's thinking, I'm going to gather some intel. And I guess now that I'm saying gather some intel, there is a bit of a detective theme that happens a couple places in this episode. So maybe that's something they were running with.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll just wait to see what happens, because I guess it seems to me like she actually wants a relationship. Mm-hmm. She's not saying it, but it seems like that's what she wants. And
not saying it, and I don't know if she knows that she's thinking it.
Yeah. And she's saying, I don't think she has a lot of confidence in the process, mm-hmm. which is probably why she's choosing to go this way. Mm-hmm. Because if she had confidence in the process, I still don't think this is a good way to meet someone if you mm-hmm. actually expect the outcome to be a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't expect that to be the outcome and you want to just find out as much information as you can before it gets kind of shut down, then yeah, this is the way to go. But
I guess really at the root of it is the question, okay, if we think that she wants a relationship with this person, if we are interpreting that, does she have enough self-awareness to know that that's what she really wants, even though she's asking for something that sounds a lot simpler? In theory, what she said in her tape was her stream of conscious, like these are the things she says when she's uncensored, but I do think there's a layer under it, a huge layer under it. Like there's a lot to unpack in that layer. And I don't know if she realizes any of it is there. So she may be going into this situation of filling out an internship application thinking all I need is to see her in action, not have the conversation, and that would be fine. Or if she really thinks, I know that I want something more here, and I'm hoping this will become something where we're on better terms. It's so hard to know how much she's told herself.
Yeah. And another person who doesn't know how much she's told herself is Ben, who's trying to support her in this. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the reasons he's probably having a hard time figuring out what to say.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. It comes across weird. I don't know how, how much he's supposed to say. I just don't know where the limits are for him here, because if Julie feels like his questions are equal not being supportive, she's going to get angry with him. She'll transfer her anger to him, even if it's misplaced or even if it is. So kind of regardless, he's on eggshells right now. And that's just kind of where he is. And he is accepting that that's where he's going to be for a little while. He's going to try to wade through figuring out what support looks like. And hopefully, he'll make the support sound not like judgment or feeling like she's not competent to make these decisions. But he dips into that area a couple times in this episode. Like you said, maybe that's fair. If you saw somebody going into this and you were truly worried and you didn't know that they could handle it, how would you alert them to that danger? So I think this episode, for me, there's definitely a theme around using lies to protect people, and at what point you tell the truth. And I think that comes up here. Ben is a lot more straightforward with Julie than we see in some of the other storylines. But for me, that's just one angle to this theme.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about Felicity, because she also has a difficult conversation to either have or not. But, I just really enjoyed how she introduced this topic to Noel, where she gives absolutely no explanation and just says to him, so if one of your friends saw me making out with someone else, and of course his head explodes immediately.
All over Dean and DeLuca.
Yes, everywhere, gone. Does not know what is happening, is completely flustered. She does not help him out at all. She just keeps saying the word hypothetical.
No, I mean, hypothetically, if one of your friends saw me kissing a hypothetical guy, who are you kissing?
Yeah.
It's hypothetical. No. But his brain had already exploded at that point. So gone. There was no part of his brain left to be able to absorb the word hypothetical.
Nope. In fact, he was so flustered that he admitted to everyone that he has, lip kissed his mom.
Yes.
I mean,
it was an accident.
But it happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
Yep.
He just has these stories. He has these stories that this is like in that episode where everybody was comparing traumas they had experienced when Felicity gets held up at gunpoint. And he says something about like a homeless guy pushed cake. Yeah, and pushed him over once and ruined his birthday cake. And it was just like, well, what sort of just how where do these stories come from? They're just right at his fingertips and they're never quite right. It's good stuff though. I like the fact that you yourself just dove in with that anecdote, because you also skipped the entire setup of it, which is where Noel was in that moment.
Yep.
And so that felt really appropriate to me to mirror for anybody who's listening to us what Noel would have been feeling in that moment.
Yep. You have no idea what's happening. And I just thought I'd tell you that Noel made out with his mom. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sure all of us do. I'll speak on behalf of everybody who's listening and say we're grateful for you. Let's dial back a little bit here and look at what happened to lead to this moment. So the episode opens with Felicity walking around the stacks. She sees some guy in the seat where I guess Felicity and Noel had been making out during the finale episode. And this guy that she meets is sort of a savant of sorts. And I asked myself, is he the every fish? Because
please explain.
This guy, I'll explain. Here we go. So he is a savant for remembering people by every single article of clothing that they're wearing, and especially people who have had some sort of attack against him, like sitting in his space or being in his sphere. So if he sees you and he's annoyed by you, he's going to catalog every single thing that you're wearing, judge it, and repeat it, and your hair or lack of hair, and repeat it back. And he's going to do it in, this kind of robotic way. Well, I thought to myself, who do I know? Who
I have no idea
notices and critiques every article of clothing that every character wears. And I thought, that's got to be Fish. So I'm wondering, Fish, when you saw this guy, what were your thoughts? Well, was he the every Fish?
Okay, so I like him. He's been on a couple of sitcoms that I have enjoyed. So I just like him as an actor, but he didn't have much to work with here, and he made the most of it. Mm-hmm. And I very much enjoyed his cataloging of what people wore. My thought was the first thing he mentions is that beautiful lavender sweater that she was wearing that set off her eyes and was a great choice. It is not what she wears in this episode, which is we see her in this brown sweater with like brown pants and these giant cloggy shoes. So I am just saying, yes, I enjoyed that he cataloged what she wore, and that's how he remembers people. I feel a certain kinship with him. I appreciate you calling us both savants. And he becomes very vital to the story.
He's pivotal. Yeah. He's very important. We see him a couple times. He moves the story forward significantly both times. So, let's hear it for him. And I'm glad to hear that you relate. So listeners, I'm just going to call him the Every Fish because I don't know his name.
We don't know his name. Yeah. That's true.
And he doesn't know anybody else's name either, for that matter. So that seems to be fair. He just knows them by the things they wear and their hair or lack of hair. And so why do we mention this? Well, here's why. So she meets this guy and stumbles upon him in the stacks, and he is kind of sour. He's a little salty with her because she had been sitting in his spot with Noel making out during finals week. And he remembers them. He's describing Noel. He's describing Felicity. And when she hears him talk about Noel's ring, she's like, oh, you're talking about me and Noel, because he's literally just describing their appearance and not the situation. So she says, oh, you're Noel and me making out in the stacks. And so he says, yeah, you were in my spot. And so he points to some people across the room who said, now they're in my spot. They took my new spot. I got a new spot because of you. And now they're in my new spot. So she turns around, she looks and sees Blair and somebody else kissing.
And not Elena.
It is not Elena. And that is the most important thing to know. Blair is kissing somebody who is not Elena. And that leaves Felicity with a quandary for pretty much the whole episode of, what do you do with this? Do you talk to Elena about it? Do you tell her what's going on here? She grappled some episodes back with the idea of whether to be a Budinsky or not, and when it was right to be a Budinsky. And I felt like that whole thing came up again in a big way here of, at what point do you step in? So that's what she's dealing with here.
And why she freaked Noel out, because she was asking for his opinion, which surprisingly she took. I did not expect that at all. I mean, I figured at some point she would butt in, and she really, she held back, and it seems like she has learned a little bit about not just blurting out the truth. Maybe she's learning from Noel, given that he's talking about kissing his mom. She's like, oh, do I sound like that? And just holding back a little bit. Yeah. So
this thing is going to come out one way or the other. Maybe she's going to let it unfold on its own time. In fact, at one point I believe she was talking to Sally on a tape and was saying, can I be totally sure it was him? They say eyewitness testimony is really unreliable anyway, and maybe that's what's happening with me. And Blair pushes it further in that direction. He does every single thing he possibly can do to gaslight Felicity when he runs into her in, was it the mailroom?
Yeah. I don't believe what Felicity was saying on the tape at all. She knows it was Blair. She knows it was him. And he just pulls a Shaggy. I mean, he's like, wasn't me.
Oh, yeah. And then he's like, oh, so you see the back of my head and you think that I must be, or you see the back of somebody's head and you think it must be me. It's like, wow, this guy is going to some lengths to make her
that's
unseen.
Not, I mean, he goes further than that. He says, you see the back of some brother's head.
Yeah.
And you just assume it's me.
And that's even taking it to another place where it's like, he did it. And he knows she knows he did it. Yeah. So it's like, he's doing anything he can do here to, I don't know, get her to question herself or invalidate her, to make her seem like the bad person if she speaks up. I mean, it was not a good look for Blair.
It was not. And go back and look at that scene where Felicity is watching Blair and Elena, and they're just talking to each other, and Blair comes over and sits on the corner of Elena's seat and gives her a kiss, and he raises his head up and he looks and he sees Felicity, and Felicity sees him. And I feel like the expression that maybe they were going for was maybe guilty, or maybe, I don't know what they were going for, but what they got was evil. I mean, he looked just pissed off, and like I expected ominous music to start.
Yeah. And also worth noting in that scene, he gives her a kiss, but he also gives her, does he give her candy? Does he give her, I thought it was maybe a package of M&Ms. Yeah. Looked like maybe peanut M&Ms. Yeah. And okay, so we're having the same theory here. He's kind of love bombing Elena throughout this episode because he has something to make up for, like whether or not she knows it in that moment, he's done something slimy. Felicity knows it. He's trying to make up for it, but I'm not sure he'd be trying to make up for it if Felicity didn't know about it.
I don't know. But I mean, it's made all the worse because the girl that he's making out with is, they said in the intro, Elena's best friend, right? I mean, they're clearly great friends
from before college.
Before college,
this girl
they know
knows
each other.
Elena. Yeah,
they have like their own dance moves they've made up to different songs. I mean, this is a long time friendship. Tara was in the hospital with Elena when her mother was dying. I mean, this is solid friendship.
And she's apparently transferred into school out of nowhere. And by the way, this is just a little pet peeve of mine in this episode. Tara's name is pronounced two different ways by Elena in this episode.
I noticed that.
Oh, it kills me every time because Elena says Tara every time, except for the one time she says Tara, but it's a really important scene when she says Tara, and it just grinds my gears.
I did notice it. I wasn't sure if maybe somebody else was saying Tara earlier. I hadn't remembered it was Elena both times. I was like, wait, didn't someone else call her Tara?
No, Elena calls her Tara multiple times in the episode. And then just in that one really important moment, she calls her Tara. And it's like, you made this decision, Tangi Miller. Oh, could somebody have just taken the other take where she said the name correctly? I would have liked that. Surely they shot this more than once. And if they didn't, they could have gone into ADR afterwards and had her bank a couple Taras. They could fix it. This is an easily fixable problem, it seems to me. But in any event,
That is our rant from an optimist
That was my
for
rant
the
from an
show.
optimist. Elena does not know how to pronounce the name of her best friend.
It's true. It's true. But I
Yeah.
love how Elena deals with this. I mean, to me, it seems so Elena. Blair clearly thinks that Felicity's going to tell her. It is going to come out. And so he has preemptively told Elena that Felicity saw some mistaken kind of weird missed cheek to lips kiss that occurred. And Elena's like, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the same room. I'm shutting the door. I want the truth out of all of you. I want you to show me what you're talking about. Is that what you saw, Felicity? Like, she is getting to the bottom of this.
Yeah, I put in my notes Elena's trial.
Yeah.
She's basically holding a trial in her room. She locks everybody down. She is the only jury
Yep.
and judge. And she gets witnesses or just one. And she needs to see Exhibit A, which is the actual way the kiss transpired. And then she wants to know from Felicity, is this what you saw? And Felicity, as you might imagine, walking into that room, feels some dread. She's feeling a little anxious about being called in to be the only testifying witness in this trial.
And, she kind of does walk back what she originally said. She says, maybe they did have this missed kiss moment. I mean, it happened between Noel and his mom.
Surely it could happen here too. If it can happen between Noel and his mom. Thank goodness for that anecdote coming up again.
Yeah.
That was useful.
I think what we've learned from this episode is that Noel and his mom like to kiss.
That's the only conclusion we can make from what we've heard so far.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, because Felicity walks it back, and she does not do so in a way that feels confident. Her walking it back sounds reluctant. There's a lot of holes in that theory for Elena, but Elena wants to believe that her best friend and her boyfriend aren't just hooking up behind her back. So Elena kind of wants to run with this answer, and she's thankful to Felicity for coming in and confirming it. And, if you can't trust your friends, who can you trust? And she's sort of patting Felicity on the back for lying, because Felicity knows what she saw, and she's just trying not to hurt people in this situation. And
on Noel's advice, which was, look, once his brain exploded and he managed to pack some of it back in his head, what he came up with was, if somebody saw you making out with someone else, I would not want to know about it. I just want to stay in the dark. And so don't tell them.
Yeah.
And so this is the advice she's getting, and she's taking it.
Yeah. And it's tricky, right? Elena's a different person than Noel. And whether that advice was good to begin with, I don't know. It's probably not how I would operate in the real world, but this is what she's trying to do. Everybody seems satisfied enough coming out of that room with this answer. And Blair's going to continue to love bomb Elena. He's going to gift her concert tickets so that they can just go and bob their heads and not have to talk to each other and just sort of be with each other. And, Elena's still kind of cool with him. She still has that image of him and Tara not pulling away right away in her head. And it's bothering her, but she's willing to cope with it up until we get back to the library. And Felicity is really feeling this nag at her. Elena's really encouraging her for being such a great friend and telling the truth. And Felicity's sitting there like, oh, I didn't tell the truth. And so she does her next round of detective work. And I love that this little noir detective music comes on in the background, and you get the cello and the saxophone, and she goes back up to where that savant guy is, and she's like, he can probably tell me if he'd ever seen those people kissing before. And she goes up, she says, hey, you. He starts calling her by her outfits again. And she says, yeah, those people that you were telling me about the other day, have you ever seen them here before? He's like, yep, 3 times. They've been there 3 times kissing in my spot. And so Felicity knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that Elena's got a problem. And it's really hard to unsee this now.
Yeah. And Elena, she was interesting because she actually thanks Felicity for staying out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when she talks about Tara and Blair, it's like she forgives Tara, and sort of more so than Blair.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that Felicity can't stay out of it. She can't.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's chemically not wired to do so.
No. Mm-hmm. And, Elena says, like, if you can't trust your friends, and she's talking about Tara. She is not talking about Felicity, who she's kind of just met. I mean, this is not a lifelong friend. Mm-hmm. And Felicity takes it personally because everything is about Felicity, and decides she's going to go sleuthing, and then she's going to come back and she's going to tell Elena the truth. So now not only has she kind of lied at first, now she's going to go ahead and tell the truth. And I get that it's a tough conversation for her, but I mean, what Elena says is, if you had come to me and told me that Blair was kissing somebody else, I wouldn't have believed Blair and Tara when they told me it wasn't real. Mm-hmm. Which it wasn't. I mean, which it was. So she's
I don't know if I interpreted it that way. Let's see. I feel like I thought she was saying she wouldn't have believed Felicity.
Oh, see, I wasn't sure what I was hearing. Okay. So we might have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, that might be worth a new listen for all of us. But my take on it was that if Felicity had from the get-go told Elena, this is what I saw, that Elena would have either been defensive or not believed Felicity, and that it would have been their relationship that was damaged because of it. And
which is kind of what happens when Felicity tries to tell the truth.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? But also understandable. Felicity comes back from seeing this guy confirm it for her. She goes back down to sit with Elena again, and she says, you know what? It seems as though they've been doing this regularly. And Elena lashes out at Felicity. Again, she's transferring her anger from the people who really deserve it to the messenger, who, this is not the first time in the history of the universe something like this has been done. It's hurtful to Felicity. She wishes they were better friends than this, but at the end of the day, she empowered Elena with the truth of what the situation was. Elena was hurt by it.
Mm-hmm. And Elena, I mean, she's hurt, she's mad, but she's not stupid. I mean, Elena is anything but stupid. And she sits back and she watches Tara or Tara and Blair, have their little conversations and smiles and kind of lookaways. And she decides to be the next person playing detective.
Mm-hmm. She sets a trap. Yes,
she sets a trap. She says, can't go to the jazz club. Sorry, but you should go. I'm going to be in the lab all night. 0.0000 chance you are going to get caught if you go out with my friend to this club. Mm-hmm. So then, of course, she enlists sort of sheepishly the person she knows is the best at stalking, the stalking expert,
Oh no.
as we will.
You've gone there.
Yeah, of course. She goes back to find Felicity because she needs a friend and she needs someone to teach her where to stand, how not to get noticed, how to maybe get a pint of blood.
I mean, you had to go there, Fish. I mean, look, she went to Felicity because Felicity is the only person who told her the truth in this situation. Felicity is a good friend, is what is happening here. You're taking it to a different place. I know you're still scarred by the pilot episode and maybe the first couple episodes, but I think
you feel you need to defend her. I know. Yeah, I understand.
I mean, look, she's come a long way since then, that Felicity, and this is the person who Elena's not going to have to give her the backstory on the way to go to, what is it, Station 4? This I think that's what the name of the jazz club was. She's not going to have to walk with Felicity and be like, okay, so this happened, then this happened, and this happened, and now I'm doing this because I want to see if she doesn't have to give that whole bit with Felicity. There's now a shorthand. And in
all fairness, I don't think Elena would have given anybody the backstory. I think she would have walked in silence with anybody and not explained it. But Felicity does know. She is a friend. She also had some amazing post spooning hair, because I do this too with my hair. When both you and I have a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And when you lay down, especially on your back or mostly on your back, you always flip your hair up.
Yes.
Right above the pillow, because otherwise you're laying on this pile of hair that's tickling your neck and stuff. Anyway. Another thing just based in reality about this show, that is exactly how people with a lot of hair sleep and what it looks like when they wake up.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So we're just here to tell you what's real. And that's one of the real things.
Yes.
Brought to you by the Everyfish. Yep. So, yes. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Hair's fantastic. Love it. So she wants her friend and she needs to see what's happening. So she and Felicity find a dark alley and hide sort of behind a car in a shadow and scope out the exit to this club.
Yeah. And at the end of the show, Blair comes out and they have this moment, I thought it was shot very well, where he comes out, he's kind of on this stairwell that is leading out of the club, and he's the first one to come out. He's leaning against the railing, and for a moment, Elena thinks maybe he went alone, and you can see the sort of almost pride in her face, which is immediately dissipated when she sees Tara come right behind him, a few seconds later. And not just to stand next to him, but to wrap her arms around him from behind. This is not the posture of a person who went to the jazz club as a friend. And it's abundantly clear from just a moment. And Elena's whole face crumbles.
Yeah, and then that's the end. They play this song, which we know probably isn't the original, but it has this perfect timing of the line, "Lie to me," just as she's watching this happen, which, of course, I think being Elena, she really doesn't want to be lied to, but it's kind of a, heartbreaking sort of song at that moment, when maybe you're thinking, would have been better if I hadn't known this, but you had to know. I actually so this is something about the show that I really appreciate. We are watching a certain group of people, and the show is shot from their perspective. So we feel Elena in this situation. I feel like there are so many shows out now where we are supposed to empathize with the cheaters. I mean, it is constant because love triangles are a thing. I mean, they're all, I mean, they're in this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of what we're looking at now is two friends and two people. So three people, two are dating and two are friends. And then, the two people who aren't dating fall in love with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to have this empathy for them where it's like, how do we tell this other person? We don't want to hurt them. Like maybe there's some kisses here and there, but they're trying to hold back, but they can't, and all this. We're seeing everything out of their eyes. And it just takes so much effort on my part to like to care about the people who were cheating,
It
and
depends
their
for me.
struggles.
It depends for me when it's a situation. So the times when I've seen it where I can empathize are the times when the relationship between those people actually predated the relationship with this actual significant other. Like when there are shows or movies where it's like, okay, but actually this person swooped in after they knew those two people were kind of a little bit flirting and into each other. When people get it murky like that, I find it more interesting and I find it a lot more complex. In this situation, they really didn't give any room for that. Like, yes, we're seeing it from Elena's point of view, so we're going to be sympathetic with her. But I don't see how there's a universe where they would have made the Tara and Blair story sympathetic, because Tara just transferred in. She's only been at this school for a minute. And if Elena and Tara are really that good friends, I would presume that Elena has had conversations with Tara about Blair. And, I have no reason to believe that Tara knew Blair before this. Tara swooped in and stole her man. Like, that is it. I don't really see any way to concoct some other storyline out of this that makes her sympathetic in this situation, or him.
Well, that's what we're given. And I appreciate that. I don't want to sympathize with the two of them. Now, I liked Blair early on. And so does this feel unfortunate? Does it feel in character with him? Like, we don't know him that well. So I guess it
Well,
does.
you know what? He was always a gift giver, and this episode makes you look back at that and think, what were all those other gifts about? Because that is a thing. Like, was he always making up for other things with some of those gifts? It always came across as it was coming from a loving place, and he was being a good boyfriend, and he was really trying to draw Elena out of her shell. And there was a challenge element to her that he was trying to break through. And I wonder if some of those gifts we saw him give her in the past, like the record player and all that other stuff, was that on the back of something else he did? It makes me revisit all of it. We'll never know.
Yeah, and there's no indication, I think, of that at the time. And he is the person who calls her out and says, your walls are up, I want in. And he's patient about it. And, it didn't come off as like I'm trying to conquer her at any point. But they certainly could have made the relationship with Tara and Blair sympathetic. They could have had them know each other before. They could have had like a love at first sight. They could have shown it from their perspective. They could have had these agonizing conversations about what they were going to do, and these like moments where they're holding back, and they may have kissed, but because they can't not for this cosmic reason, they can't not kiss each other, but they're not going to sleep together, and they're trying to figure it out. They could have done all that, because so many shows today do, and it is so exhausting. And I just like the clean and simple here. It's like, dude's cheating, he sucks, and your friend's not that great. Like, sorry, life sucks.
Yeah. And, Elena cries on Felicity's shoulder, and that is one of the things she named as a metric for true friendship, to laugh with each other until your sides hurt, to cry with each other, or to cry on your shoulder. There's a bunch of different things that she lists as like the boxes to tick for being a really good friend. She's just done one of those with Felicity. So, she sees Blair and Tara together and she just breaks down. And, it was one of the first times that you really see Elena just break down in that way and be sad. She's always so strong. And here she was just having a night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to look at the other storyline, the third couple that we're tracking here, which is Felicity and Noel.
Well, I think there's two couples here. We've got Felicity and Noel, and we've got Felicity and Sansa.
Or Noel and Sansa.
Sorry. Noel and Sansa as the faux couple.
Yeah.
Couple.
This one is really a side mission of an, what I do like with Felicity and Noel here is that we are starting to see some of the things that you had wished you were seeing. You might have even mentioned it the last episode, where we're seeing Felicity and Noel just cutely reading together his vending machine handbook in his room, or they're taking a nap together. Like, those are some of the things that I think you kind of wished you had seen a little bit more of that stuff happening before they went boyfriend, girlfriend. Well, they're doing it now. We got there. Well, maybe a little out of order. I don't know, but we did it.
They are very comfortable around each other now, which I enjoy because they're both still super awkward, and yet they're really comfortable in their awkwardness.
Which is lovely.
And, I do have an award to give.
Oh.
Yes. It is for the most awkward sign of affection between two people, and it is for Felicity petting Noel's sideburns. Yes. Rewind and watch that again.
So that wasn't something that you were into?
No. That was not a sexy moment for me. But it is a sign of affection. She's just sitting there with her arm around him, just, petting his sideburns.
Well, Felicity's still figuring it out.
Yeah, she is.
Noel doesn't know enough not to like it.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's something new, and maybe that was not something he got from Hannah. And now he knows.
Yeah, and now he's in a whole new world of like, wow, getting my sideburns pet. That's pretty great.
Yeah. This girl likes me. She likes me. Well, dear mom.
Yeah. I'm kissing a new woman now. Oh boy. Oh boy. We're just really fueling a completely wrong understanding, which is fine. We can do whatever we want to on this. It's our podcast, guys. It's fine.
We do it.
So I also have an award, and this is for best first line from a character in an episode, or specifically just this episode. And that one's going to be from Richard, because we need to set up that we need new vending machines, or one new vending machine. Richard's way to communicate that is that when Noel walks up to him and Richard's kicking in the vending machine in anger, Noel's like, "What is up?" And Richard goes, "Where?"
That's right.
So basically, that, if you were wondering, is the sound of a vending machine not releasing the thing that he paid for.
It actually was. It was a good impression.
Yeah, you like that? So Richard lets out that line, and then he's basically gets across the point of his message, which was the vending machine isn't giving me the thing that I paid for. And Noel now knows he has a mission. Must get vending machines that drop the thing that you paid for.
Well, and to be fair, these are the new vending machines.
But they were refurbished, right? We established that they were refurbished, and
they still don't work.
And Richard just takes this as confirmation that Noel is still not fit to be an RA.
which we have established is in fact true.
Yeah, in a lot of different ways, right? This is just one more easy to spot way where, Noel invests in vending machines that just flat out don't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they work for one person.
They work for Ben.
Yes.
I love this. I love this. They keep playing with this. Like Noel is on his high horse. He is the best he's ever been in life. These are his days. And in the last episode where the stranger comes up to Ben while the two of them are having a conversation and gives only Ben an invite to an invite-only party. And Noel's like, that would bother me. It kind of still does, but it doesn't. And in this situation, Ben is getting something from the vending machine. Noel feels that he has to warn him, and he's running up to say, don't do it. And Ben is able to get his candy just fine.
It's not for him. But Noel does comment, I didn't think of you as a payday kind of guy.
Ben's like, you pictured me?
Yeah.
And Noel's like, what? No, that's what I meant. I just need something to say. How does this always happen? Yeah.
So Ben walks away and Noel puts his own money in, and of course the machine doesn't work for him.
Yeah, it's just this is the life of Noel. Yeah. So Noel knows, I need to sort this out. I need to get a vending machine. And we haven't seen her for a few episodes, but there's Sansa just lurking in the distance, but not the far distance, ready to save the day because she's got connections. Her family, Yuri, can get him access to a vending machine. It's easy. We'll do it the family way. Come to our warehouse. We can make this happen for you.
Yeah, and all I've written for that whole scene is just Yuri's back! Exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yuri is for sure the most sensible one of all of them, but also very offensive.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it a little later, but I don't know what his name is. There was another member of her family who seemed awfully sensible in this.
He might be named Leonid. I think that's the name that I heard. The guy who's doing all that, he always wants to arm wrestle Noel.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that they call him Noel. So Noel's on a mission now. He has to go with Sansa to see Yuri, which means Sansa's going to drag him all the way to there. Where are they going? Brighton Beach, or I can't remember.
I was going to write it down. It starts with a B.
Yeah, well, it's somewhere in the universe.
We're going somewhere, and what I did write down is it will be in a gypsy cab.
That's how they'll get there, and they're going to end up in some sort of a warehouse where a whole bunch of Sansa's family members are just kind of in a pile, just talking about. Actually, they're talking about. I want to say, well, that comes up later, but they're having conversations with each other, huddled around one area. They see Sansa, and Sansa, apparently, what she's getting out of this situation is that she has told all of them that Noel is her boyfriend because she wants to get the men of her family off of her back. She doesn't want them worrying about her at school. So she's just going to call Noel her boyfriend, and that's going to be what she gets out of all this.
Yeah. And I just love that zero people have respect for Noel because he says to her, "But what about my self-respect?" And she just turns around and says, "You'll get it back in an hour," and keeps walking.
Yeah. And she's concocted a whole story around how he saved her from a fire. Yes. And, everybody is very excited about how heroic he is. Absolutely right. And they welcome him.
Yeah, he feels very awkward about this at first, kind of coming in, and her father gives him this big hug and kisses on the cheek and says, you saved her from a fire, you're a hero. And Noel's just like, oh, honey, you told him about that. Yeah.
Great. That's another story I'll have to make up. Yeah, they welcome him in the only ways they know how, which is through vodka and sausage and arm wrestling. Yes. And I believe it's Leonid who is the arm wrestler of the family. He calls Noel over. First thing he does is slams his arm to the ground because that's 1 out of 1, right? He's already winning. Yeah. And then I love this line where he's trying to make Noel feel better. So he's like, let's do it again. And then he says, best 9 out of 10. And Noel's like, that doesn't make any sense. Best 9 out of 10 is not actually a thing.
It's not. It's not a thing at all. But I think what it means is this is going to go on for a while. And
this is why I love that we're watching the show in such detail, because as many times as I've seen this episode, I've never heard those lines with Lena being like, best 9 out of 10. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. These are the little gems that you hear on your 47th watch, or whatever number I'm at this point.
Well, so here's the thing that I get out of this is a couple of things. Did you listen to the music in the background for this? There are a couple of things that I'm wondering about. So first of all, they are all sitting around drinking vodka and eating sausage. Mm-hmm. And Noel takes part in this, gets very drunk and full of sausage. And there's in two of the major scenes, they're playing this like old American classic music, like Frank Sinatra, or it's not Sinatra, but it's Dean Martin maybe. And so here's my thing. The scenes are hilarious, but I do wonder how culturally offensive they are, because they seem pretty offensive. Did we ever establish whether they speak Russian in Estonia, or whether they are in fact Estonian or Russian?
So some of the words that they said were not with perfect Russian pronunciation. And I don't know if
they were definitely Russian words.
When
Nostrovia is
Sensa walks
definitely
in,
Russian.
Well, okay, but when Sensa walks in, she says, Papa Privyat. Mm-hmm. That's not actually how you pronounce that word.
But that could just be the actress.
It could be the actress is the thing. Yeah. So I'm not sure if this was meant to be the Russian language badly pronounced, or if it was like they have a dialect that's different that they're speaking in, and these are Estonian people. Because I see no reason why they would have had Estonian chocolate at the party. Right. If not for these
seems
people.
Oddly specific.
Sure. I don't fault them for being oddly specific. I often think it's the oddly specific that's so wonderful. I just don't know what quite to make of them in this scenario. I mean, on the one hand, I don't know how big an Estonian population there is in New York, and I'm sure there's a sizable Russian population in New York. So I guess they're Russian, but some of the words they said are not really quite right. So
no, it seems like they must be, because we have this great thing called the internet. Mm-hmm. And so I just looked up what the Estonian language is, and it's called Estonian Esti, Eesti, mm-hmm. And it says it's actually it's a Finnic language, so it's not related to the Russian language. It's based on.
It doesn't have like the Cyrillic alphabet or anything like that.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have been saying Privat or Nostrovia or any of that unless they were Russian. Mm-hmm. So it seems like they were Russian people who just very much enjoyed Estonian chocolate.
Mm-hmm. So the Estonian chocolate, if you were thinking that had anything to do with their nationality, maybe it was all just a red herring.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, what we do establish after this is that Noel had a day, and he goes back, sees Felicity and conveys to her what happened, and then he has to do it all again tomorrow because Yuri wasn't even there, because Sensa got a text from Yuri, or paged from Yuri within the first minute that they were there, when they realized Yuri was never going to show up that day, and yet Noel stuck it out that whole time. So they're going to have to go back and do it
2 hours.
Again. Yeah,
it was 2 hours and 7 sausages.
Yep, 7 sausages ago. So that is a unit of measurement in this case, and which he was eating just directly off the fork, which is fine.
I do that.
Yeah.
How else do you eat a sausage?
I guess you would have a knife.
Well, okay, but like whether you're picking up a smaller piece of sausage or a larger piece of sausage, you're still eating it directly off the fork.
I mean, are sausages meant to be eaten like picking up an apple and biting directly into it?
Like with your hand?
Well, no, I mean, he had the whole darn thing on a fork and then he just took a bite out of it or
I
was
see
going
no
to.
problem with this.
Okay. Okay. Listeners. How do you
The
eat
only
sausage?
reason, yeah, the only reason that I would see a difference is if you're eating it with like red cabbage or sauerkraut, you might want to cut it so that you can get pieces of the sauerkraut or cabbage to stay on it and then eat
Mm-hmm.
it. But if you're eating it with a mustard or eating it plain, why bother cutting it?
Right.
And listeners, we do want to know how you eat your sausage, as Melissa just said, but please do
Validate
make it
Fish's answer.
X-rated.
Oh,
Please
you want
answer that in
X-rated.
any way you'd like to tell us about how you eat your sausage. Feel free, because I don't check the email account.
Okay.
It's themelissafish at gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for making that happen, Fish. Sometimes Fish says things and my eyes just go wide on my end of the screen here. And this
Yep.
is,
Hey, look, I was not the one who originally said, please, listeners, tell us how you eat your sausage. Just
well,
saying.
Okay. Okay.
I just roll with it.
Anywho, so one of the things that I love is that when Noel is recounting all of this to Felicity, she couldn't be jealous of the situation if she tried.
Nope.
Like, it tells you something, not just about the strength of their relationship, but the patheticness of what's going on here. Because there are absolutely no girlfriend alarm bells raising here. She just feels like this poor sap.
Yep.
It's so great. But when they go back to see Yuri again, so Yuri is standing next to this beautiful new vending machine. He calls it the 4000. It's like
Again,
digitized.
classic music.
Oh my goodness. It
says cold food and it has an arrow, points down.
Yeah. It's about as newfangled as technology for vending machines comes at that period of time. One of the things that I like, so Yuri gets down to business. He's just going to make this deal happen. Noel's already been through the paces of spending 2 hours eating 7 sausages. He's done that. He just needs to go and get the vending machine and come to a deal and get out. And so Yuri's going to make this happen. But something that I enjoyed, and I have no idea why they were doing this, but in the background, you can hear the rest of the family off screen trying to pronounce the word microwave over and over and over. You can hear them go, microwave. And I just sat there thinking, why have I never heard this either? And what are they doing?
I did not hear that. I heard the music, and maybe it was because I was a little distracted by, Yuri's lovely comparison of the vending machine to a woman.
You give her money, you pull her knobs.
Exactly.
Yipes.
Yep, love it. And also the what today would be considered very subtle product placement of just Pepsi all over the place.
Yeah, that was all over.
Yep.
Yeah, they do some product placement in this show, and then they just talk about generic microwaves sometimes, which is nice. So there's that. But they get this deal done, and the 4000 is going to be placed in the dorm, and Noel is still going to have a hard time getting the candy he wants.
I mean, of course he is. But before they install it, can you say what you think this other guy's name is again? I can't pronounce it. Leonid. Leonid comes over and says, look, I know you guys aren't dating, but you're a really good friend to Sansa. So I'm not worried about her. Nobody else knows. Just between you and me, let's arm wrestle. I'll let you win this time. And then there's this wonderful arm wrestling moment where Noel wins the arm wrestling and is just super proud of himself.
He's like, want to go again?
Nope. He does not. He does not want to go again.
Because in like one day, he got that much stronger to beat the arm wrestling champion of the room.
I mean, maybe he was practicing and we just didn't know.
This is their world, right? Leonid just goes around arm wrestling anybody he can find.
Well, I'm more interested
about microwaves.
in Noel's world, where we think that he is, you know, it seems like he's normal-ish, and yet his life is having his girlfriend pet his sideburns, eating 7 sausages, like losing at arm wrestling, and kissing his mom. So, like, is it that normal?
When you say it that way, I mean,
he's special. They're good for each other, I think, at this point. I like their just agreement to be awkward together, and therefore everything is fine. But what I do wonder is, did he not learn from the Fridge of Independence? Like, he is still saying to Felicity, I can rig the machines to give you extra. He's still trying to like give her stuff in a sketchy kind of way because of his fantastic RA powers. And I mean, I want to hear what Richard would have to say about that.
I feel like Richard would think he's not fit to be an RA at all.
I agree.
Oh my. Well, I thought I'd drop in my note from an Optimist this week, because to me, honesty was a vibe in this episode. And I want to say, little white lies, saying things to be kind. I don't know if that's all it's cracked up to be. I think that in these stories, I think it really called for honesty. And I think that if you've got a relationship that you want to grow stronger, I think that honesty is something that can make a relationship stronger, because I think even if honesty brings you to deal with a conflict that you have that's under the surface, the dealing with it is what helps you can get to a better place, if the relationship can get to a better place. So I like that what we were seeing in this episode was, even if people's initial instinct was to hide something or to not to give the full truth, that most of them came around to honesty, and it worked out better for them in the end. And being able to have those transparent conversations was a sign of something better to come. So I don't know, I'm a believer in having honesty, and especially if you want the relationship to go somewhere, if you think there's a future for it, how do you get there when you just start hiding things and piling lies on lies with people?
I appreciate that you feel that way. And I'm going to be honest, I would say I disagree.
Oh my gosh. Fish is like, not only do I disagree, I've lied to you 7 times in this episode, the same number of times as sausages.
Noel ate sausage. Yes. I feel like, and I also think there is a difference in the way that people define the word truth. So there's like the harshest possible way you could tell somebody something, and then there is like softening the truth, which I think is a nice thing to do and is a compassionate thing to do. You do not always have to provide like the harshest way to say something. And yet I have been called out in the past for, that sort of softening of the truth is kind of considered the white lie. And if that is what we're talking about as kind of white lies, then I would say that is a way that many people, not all people, but many people, get on with their daily lives and have good relationships, because you don't have time to just always have these deep, long, let's fully understand each other, let's go through everything and work on our relationship all the time kind of relationships. Sometimes they ask how their ass looks and you're like, great, honey. I think little white lies are fine. I think lying about big stuff like cheating is not. And I just don't think they really hurt anyone. And I also think there's a difference. Like, some people really believe that omitting information is lying, right? Like a lie of omission.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, sometimes you just need to stay out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Felicity in this case, had she wanted to stay out of it, could have just walked out of the room when
Mm-hmm.
Elena pulled her in to have this conversation. She could have just said, look, this is not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
I am friends with you. I don't want to put that in jeopardy. I'm leaving. And I don't think that would have been a lie. But other people don't feel that way.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think we define white lie a little differently, because I think I see a difference between telling somebody something that isn't true to make them feel better versus telling them something that is true, but doing it in a delicate way. I don't see those two things as the same. I think that you can be honest without being abrupt about it. And I think you can be honest with as much an effort to be delicate about the truth as possible. So I think that we have a slightly different definition there.
Well,
But
I agree with you on that. I completely agree with you. But what I'm saying is, I have been in relationships or in friendships with people where I have been called out on that, and they have been really upset because I consider putting something delicately to be a kind thing to do, and they consider it a lie. So it is not a
Interesting.
universally held belief.
Yeah. Well, this is just a note from an optimist from my point of view, right? Like, for example, I think that in the situation, if it were me, if I had been Felicity and I saw Blair and Tara kissing before I knew who Tara was, I would have told Elena.
But would you have told her with Tara sitting there? Because
I
Felicity
I
looked
would
like
have
she was
told
going to tell her.
her before that ever happened. Like, because there was this window of time when Felicity knew what had happened, and because she was following Noel's advice, she did nothing about it. And so it wasn't, it was later that she meets Tara at the cafeteria, and then it was even after that Blair, she gets called into the trial, and they're all in the room together. I don't think that moment was the situation to tell the truth. I think before that moment was the time that I would have told Elena. Like, I would have gone back to her and been like, Elena, I saw
I don't
something and I just want you to know what happened.
I don't think we know how much time has passed, because at least the order of my notes are: Felicity sees Blair and not Elena. Felicity talks to Noel. Felicity and Elena are in the cafeteria. So it seemed to me that was the next time she saw her.
Yeah, but I think if you've got something like that to share, you can also seek the person out. And if she got interrupted in that moment, I think I would have tried to approach Elena again. I mean, this is just thinking about how I would have handled something like that. And at the end of the day, is it hurtful to Elena to have that information? Yeah, but that's the real situation that's happening. And if I had knowledge of it, first of all, there's a chance that if Blair saw Felicity, like, he could have outed himself anyway, thinking that Felicity would. So you could get caught in that afterwards, like with Elena being like, oh, you didn't say anything, but you saw it. Blair told me you saw it. Like, oh yeah, he did. That's my bad. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I would rather be upfront with somebody and say, look, and deliver it as delicately as possible. Like, look, I can't be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. And I just want you to be aware that this is what I think I saw. And I'm really, really sorry. And if there's anything I can do, just let me know. And then let them figure out what they're going to do with that information, right? Not everybody handles that same information the same way. So it's ultimately Elena's choice then, but she was completely disempowered in this situation from doing anything about it because she wasn't being told what was going on. And at the end of the day, the way they painted this picture, Blair was bad news. You know, there was nothing redeemable about this story for him. And, you know, Elena deserved better.
Bad Tin Man.
Bad Tin Man. Well,
well, I would just say, I think it depends on the length and seriousness of the relationship. I think for me, in the case of Elena and Blair, yeah, I would have told them it also depends on like who the other person is. And I feel like Elena is the type of person that wants to know in the end. I mean, it did not take her long to internalize this information and, you know, come back and sort of apologize to Felicity. Not really. But when you get to the point of people have been dating for years and, you know, or they're married, to me, it may just not be my place. I
guess
don't
it
understand
depends.
marriages.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Here's what I'm going to say to you, Fish, as my friend. If you have a red flag about somebody in my life and you don't tell me, that's a problem between you and me. Is how I would see it. Not everybody would see it that way. So you have carte blanche if you feel like there's a red flag, no matter how far in. Because I remember I was dating somebody for a while, and after I broke up, there were a couple of people who were like, "Yeah, I never felt good about him." It's like, what? Why are you telling me that now? It actually made me totally distrust those people. And I was like, okay, so I can't actually take anything that you say at face value. So you were just like really happy for me to run into what you saw as a burning building. Like, what is this relationship? So I don't know. I guess everybody has a different place that they stand with it. But I am giving you the green light. Deliver the information, please. Thank you.
And that's what comes of knowing the other person. If you know the other person always wants the information, then give it to them. If you think that they may commit murder and then be locked up in jail, maybe don't give them the information.
Well, that's, I guess, a judgment call, huh? Like, either they're going to be fully supportive or they're going to go the homicide route. And then you've got a mess on your hands, my friend.
And you don't want to cause that.
Well, I want to know what you have to think about what Sally said.
I mean, it's not what I think, it's what I know.
It's what you know. It's what you know. So we're now in our what Sally said, what Sally meant segment. I'll tell you what she said. Fish knows exactly what she meant. So Here we go. Dear Felicity, at the risk of completely destroying your image of me,
which I know is that I'm perfect, and I am, most of the time.
I cheated on John once.
Stop that. Stop looking at me with those big, wide, innocent eyes of yours.
It was 6 months into our relationship.
You're judging me. I can tell you're judging me. I can feel you judging me from thousands of miles away.
It was an ex-boyfriend, and halfway into it, I suddenly remembered why we broke up in the first place.
He had a micropenis.
And why I loved John so much.
John does not.
The thing is, John never would have found out about it.
And yes, there are so many other things that make John great, like his big heart and huge intellect and absolutely gigantic love of friends and family.
Except after 3 months, I couldn't take the guilt anymore, and I told him.
And his ability to forgive. Although I think it may have been easier after I mentioned the micropenis.
I never used to believe an affair could do anything but destroy a relationship.
If our positions had been reversed, I don't know what I would have done.
But from that moment on, I never lied to him again, not even about the smallest thing.
Pun intended.
Sometimes in a relationship, going through hell isn't so bad if you come out of it a little stronger.
I don't know if I would have had the strength to trust him again.
I guess the same is true about friends.
Then again, how much would he have really been able to do with a micro vagina?
You know,
Do I know?
Fish, you always shock me. I mean,
I shock you?
Yeah.
How did I shock you?
Wow.
You mean you really had no idea what Sally was thinking? I mean, and what she meant
I
by
can
this?
honestly say I had no clue. I think, my, oh my. My, oh my, oh my. Woo! I'm blushing. So, okay.
You knew the pun intended was coming.
Yeah, that one I saw. I saw that coming a mile away, that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Once I saw where you headed with that. Oh boy. So having said all that, I thought I'd read some listener feedback in our After You Listen to This Tape, You Have to Erase It segment. We heard a little something from our friends at the Wait What podcast account on Instagram. And they said Elena was the best. She handled everything like a boss. When she caught her boyfriend cheating with her best friend and she went off on them, I was like, yes, queen. Yeah. There's still a little bit more to come with like wrapping this part up, but it's I like Elena's instincts here. She's not listening to the nonsense.
I mean, we didn't actually hear her go off on him. I'm hoping that's coming in the next episode.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to come from this, but I think she's setting some very clear limits, and I like that she's doing that. She's not trying to explain this to herself. I mean, for a moment she did, right? For a moment, it's like, oh, Tara's my best friend. Like, she was with me with my mom when my mom was dying. But this is an important relationship in my life. And for a moment, she wanted to hang on to it. And then she really quickly did what Elena does and is just sort of matter of fact about it. And she's logical about it. And she's looking and thinking, you know what? I don't need this. You guys are lying. That's it. And I think she's putting some, a really hard line down about this. Yeah, and she's aggressively seeking information about it too. She's not just trying to brush it under a rug.
No, I did like how she dealt with that, even though as Felicity, I probably would have walked away. But yeah, one of the things that I really like about her is that she has a lot of respect for herself, and she is confident, and she just moves through the world, kind of without apology. And I just really appreciate that, because I think that we don't often get female characters that are like that don't sort of say they're sorry a lot, or are really, indecisive, or need to be kind of led around, especially at that age.
Yeah,
and
I was just thinking that.
And she knows what she wants, and she's going after it, and she knows her values, and yet she's also willing to change her perspective, which is a very hard thing to do, like when she takes the scholarship money. So I think she is someone I would have looked up to at that age, and frankly still do. I mean,
Yeah, I
Great
love what
role
she
model.
shows us. And I think, you were saying like you don't see that from a lot of characters. I would go even further and say I didn't see a lot of people, like real humans that I knew at that age doing that, and being like that in the world. I think that she has vulnerability and she also has standards, and she
She's
really
got
expects
style,
to be able to
she's
live
got
up to it.
class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure does. Yeah, I'm glad for the 20-year-old and the teen me that I saw this character, and kind of wish I would have been able to unpack it a little bit more then, like to be able to have this level of depth of conversation about this show at that age might have allowed for some learning opportunities a little earlier. But there was a person or two in my life who had this sort of effect on me at that age. And it was so, so important to have that. I really needed that for my own development, to start meeting peers, women peers who were able to have that kind of a confidence and help me have it in myself was really valuable. So I love that we're seeing it in the show with Elena and really with Megan too.
Yes, who we have not mentioned, sleeps butt naked.
Yeah, we didn't get anything from her in this episode except mention of her, but we always get something valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh my.
Yep. Lovely
Well,
character.
what did you think of this episode overall, Fish? How would you rate this one?
So I liked it. I mean, overall, I thought the stuff with Yuri and Sensa was funny, although again, I'm not sure whether it's also offensive. I think it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know. Um, I I really enjoyed kind of being able to delve into the relationship with Ben and Julie. It did leave me with a lot of questions, but I came out of that thinking their relationship was stronger than ever
Mm-hmm.
because they were able to have a hard conversation and to have emotional reactions, him leaving, her snapping at him, and yet still come together, apologize, be together in the end. So, and I did think that he was very supportive, and I'm still seeing good things coming from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got this quirky couple in the middle. Just, we've got I love the awkward together moments. Um and then the one thing that I'm still having a lot of trouble buying is there was zero setup for Blair cheating on Elena.
Mm-hmm.
It just came out of nowhere, and I guess I liked the way that they dealt with it. I liked the way Elena dealt with it, like the questions it opened up for Felicity, but it certainly wasn't set up in any way, shape, or form. It went
Yeah.
from Blair is a great guy who's supporting her and bringing her out of her shell and this, that, the other, to random friend who's her best friend shows up in New York and starts making out with her boyfriend in the library.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna have to ding it a little bit for that because that was a major plot point. So I would give this one like a 7.5 gloves out of 10. If anyone remembers, I rated gloves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you raised some very good points there. I'll tell you my rating first. So I rated this one in vending machines. You know what? When you've got something
Oh,
this obvious staring you in the face, you got to go with it.
wait.
So
But which vending machines? Like the old ones, the refurbished ones, or the 4,000?
I'm going to go with the 4,000 on this one.
Top line. All right. Yuri's vending
Yeah.
machines.
Um, I'm giving this one a 6.9 out of 10
Hmm.
for some of the same things that you've cited. This storyline with Blair and Tara, yeah, I can sit here and say now that we know some of his tendencies. It makes me revisit his past episodes and scenes and see, oh, he was always gift giving. What was he doing in the background? Like it makes me look more suspiciously at what we saw earlier, but they didn't actually give us anything to telegraph this or to set it up. And I don't think we're ever going to see Tara again. So like if I remember correctly, we don't see her again. So they brought her in for an episode. They had a lot to take care of with this episode. And this girl who transferred in, did she just transfer back out? Are they just never see, like, what happens? Like, I think it's like we needed this story, and it's almost like it was a total bottle episode, but had to be, because they only gave this episode, this story one episode in this form. There will be a little bit of dealing with the aftermath in the next episode, but like it just does feel like, oh, we want to do this. Like, and they just put it into this episode and called it a day. So I think there is a bit of story construction here that's bothering me about it. I like what they were trying to say to us, but I think that they did it lazily and they didn't set it up very well, or at all. And then they're going to like off-road from it real quick. So it's, yeah, that's where the 6.9 comes from on this. I like some of the things they were trying to get across. I also feel like, there's that. And then there's the fact that, like we've been talking about, the Julie and Ben stuff feels like I'm wading in the ocean. Like I'm like, what's happening here exactly? I'm really glad you and I got a chance to talk about it and help each other find some threads in that story. But if you combine the fact that I was a little lost in myself and my thoughts for that part of the story, and then also confused by how quickly we got into the Blair stuff, it's it feels like an episode that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm taking away from this is that you and I need to go visit the ocean so I can explain to you how that works. You should not be so lost when hanging out at the beach.
Fair enough.
Especially for someone who lives like near the coast in California.
It's very true. I'm right there, like 15 minutes from it. Well, yeah. So we have posed a lot of questions to you all here today, and we would love to get your feedback on anything we've asked or anything we didn't that you just want to tell us. If you want to connect with us, you can send your feedback to themelissafish@gmail.com, like Fish mentioned earlier. That's Melissa with 1 L, 2 S's, themelissafish@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Felicity Podcast. And if you are interested to get an email when we drop our new episodes, we send out a newsletter every time we drop out a new episode. So you can sign up for that. You can find that link in the show notes. So just go ahead and check that out, and you can be informed when there's new material coming out. Because the next one is going to be an interesting ride. We're starting our next 2-parter, and we are going to get Todd Mulcahy Part 1.
I'm so excited. Okay, so I have no idea who Todd Mulcahy is. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember anything. You know that. But there is an account on Instagram called Todd Mulcahy, and Melissa has been explaining to me since we have connected with this person how amazing this, I guess, account name is. And
I'm convinced it's the real Todd Mulcahy. It's Todd Mulcahy on Instagram. And this person, I'm going to shout them out, because whoever you are, I'm going to throw it down and say the most detailed encyclopedic knowledge of all of Felicity that I have ever seen. And we have been having conversations only in Felicity details, like the most minute ones.
That is the highest compliment.
I have been blown
coming
away
from Melissa. So I am so excited to now be able to share in the joy that is whatever happens in these next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I've basically refused to explain to Fish who Todd was.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't remember. Never knew there was someone named Todd Mulcahy in the show. Did
This
not
is
seem
a
like a main
relatively
character.
deep cut. Yes. The episodes are so weird and so great.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to think of them, Fish. I have no clue. But we're going to watch it, and we're going to talk about it starting next week. Todd Mulcahy Part 1.
Sounds like a plan.
So is there anything else you wanted to mention, Fish, before we wrap for today?
Nope. I think I got it all out.
All right, we did it. We did it, folks. We did it all together. And I guess that's it. So until next time, Fish, don't hook up with Ben while I'm gone.
I'm a fish.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.